Coming soon to this theater.
Hey everybody, what is up? It is Brian. It is, wow, about 1:15 in the morning. I have been not well. I've been coming off my meds, man. I'm coming off my meds. I'm losing it. Non-flashback. No, I haven't been well because the supply chain right now is evidently all fucked up, so I haven't been getting the medications that I rely on in order to just kind of like basically function. So I have not been well, haven't been able to do any writing, not really able to do much of anything productive. So I figured, okay, well, you know what? Let me do a little reaction video, but rather than just a reaction video, but also with a pre-reaction. You don't get too many of those, do you? You get lots of reaction videos these days, but not too many pre-reaction videos. Okay, so tonight I am going to be taking a look at Terrifier 2, which recently actually had a very limited theatrical release. The original Terrifier came out 2 years ago and was really pretty spectacular. That is for a low-budget horror movie, and that is how I like my horror movies. I like my horror movies low budget because, you know, as much as I've liked some prestige horror films, as much as as I love something, for instance, like The Shining or The Exorcist, even some of the contemporary pictures, the Conjuring series, any of the James Wan movies, Malignant, I thought was fantastic. Love that picture. As much as I like the mainstream, some of the mainstream stuff I'm seeing, I'm always going to be a low-budget horror guy at heart, and that's because in low-budget horror films, you can get away with murder. That is to say, low-budget horror movies have always, to me, been the best, and where you see the really, I would say, striking examples of the genre. Once again, not to knock some of the mainstream movies, but you don't get something like The Exorcist very often now, do you? I mean, the Conjuring movies, those are aight. The Blumhouse movies, a lot of those aight. But A24 has been killing it. Definitely low-budget horror production company. And I am very much looking forward to watching this because it is the sequel to a very, very nasty piece of work. I'm talking about the original Terrifier, of course. What was great about that movie was that you see a lot of low-budget horror movies these days that are trying to be cult movies, but they're not. I hate to break it to you, if you like cult movies and your idea of a cult movie is Sharknado or Machete, sorry, nah. Why would you settle for an imitation when you can get the real rock, right? But it's very difficult to set out with the intention of making a cult film and successfully making a cult film. Just the act in and of itself of saying, we're making a cult movie itself almost thereby makes it not a cult movie, except some people have actually managed to pull this off. A mainstream example I could think of, Kick-Ass. I thought Kick-Ass was, man, if I came home at like 3 o'clock in the morning and I turned on the TV and saw that, I would have been psyched, right? Like, it's actually a cult movie, and the first Terrifier is also very much trying to be a cult movie, but it actually succeeds and actually is a cult movie. Brutal kills. Art the Clown, of course, creepy as fuck. People are like, oh wow, another killer clown. Oh, that's really original. It's like, no, it's not that. It's an original concept. I mean, let's face it, John Wayne Gacy, he fucking fucked up everything for clowns for the rest of eternity, most likely. It was, oh man, clowns just hate his guts, right? But of course we had Pennywise being the most famous, initially played, of course, with great aplomb by the great Tim Curry. I haven't seen the new It movies, the feature films. I hear they're really good. I haven't watched them. I don't have a good excuse for not having watched them, but I was never really a fan of It that much to begin with anyway. But Art the Clown is 100 times creepier. And the actor who plays him doesn't have the gift of Tim Curry's voice, right? Because so much of that performance was Tim Curry's incredible voice. And this is a guy that's just basically doing a pantomime performance, right? Like he's never out of clown mode, and he never he utters so much as a syllable. Never says a word. That makes him really fucking creepy. And the actor, whose name escapes me right now, is is phenomenal in the part. And like I said, in the original Terrifier, brutal kills, brutal gore. It's a splatter movie. If you're going to put it in any category, I know that people think of it as like an 80s style slasher. No, it's a splatter movie, right? You're there to watch, people getting fucked up. You're there to see people just like done in and just like the nastiest ways, right? And so, of course, it has to have some kind of a sense of humor, and Terrifier is very much self-aware, but it's not too self-aware. It's not always winking at you. Like, there are parts of it that are just genuinely fucking creepy. My trepidations going into Terrifier 2 are that it is, I think, 2 hours and 15 minutes long. Bitch, please. Now, I love the fact that we live in a time where you can actually go and make a 2.5 hour, 3 hour movie. It's a non-issue. Okay, that's cool, right? There have been many times in the past where I thought films were too short, where it's just like, oh, if they had more space, but they had to cram it into that like 2 hours or 90-minute running time. I love the fact that filmmakers can go outside of that now, largely because of the advent of digital video. Because, what made film so expensive for so long was the actual film, the actual celluloid that went into the cameras. Now we're in the digital age. It's all just, terabytes of hard drive that you're loading your movie up onto. But not everything has to be fucking Spartacus. Not everything has to be a David Lean movie. Not everything has to be Out of Africa. Not everything has to be The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Once Upon a Time in the West. It's like Sergio Leone, yeah, he could do like a 2.5 hour, 3 hour movie, but he was Sergio Leone, right? Not all of these bitches are David Lean, right? It's like, it's Terrifier, for fuck's sake. What makes you think like this has to be the Lawrence of Arabia of 80s style splatter movies? Because if it's anything less than that, I'm gonna be mad. And from what I hear, it's as I feared, which is, what I'm hearing is that it's very similar to The Raid 2. Now, if you've ever seen The Raid, awesome, absolutely kick-ass martial arts movie. 90 minutes of just absolute mayhem. It's as a British director, but it was made in Malaysia. And the martial art in that is a martial art that's native to that region called Silat. And it is just nasty. It's just mean and brutal. If you haven't seen The Raid, go check that shit out. awesome movie. Be aware that, you know, if you don't like martial arts movies, because some people were like, oh, it was just all fighting, people like running around and kicking each other and like chopping each other up with machetes. It's just like, yeah, it's a kung fu movie. What the fuck, right? But it's also a little John Carpenter-esque. The whole setup is very much like something like Assault on Precinct 13, for instance, and it does have a Carpenter-esque vibe. The Raid 2, on the other hand, is a piece of shit. The fight scenes are friggin' incredible, but the problem is the movie's 2.5 hours long, and so, you know, everything in between is filler. So if it's not as if the writer-director who did the first Raid was like, oh, okay, what I'm going to do is, I've got this big story that I want to tell. And, yeah, there are going to be fight scenes sprinkled throughout, but there's going to be an emotional impact behind them. And all of the story, all of the non-fighting parts of the film are going to work to give those moments where you finally do get to the fight scenes emotional impact and some heft. But that wasn't the case. Everything... The entire plot of the Raid 2, it's nothing new. We've seen it like 100,000 times before. It doesn't add anything to the experience. All it does is increase the running time. And the original Raid was great because it was so pared down. There's no fat on that movie whatsoever. And then the Raid 2 is this big bloated mess. And that's what I'm afraid is going to happen with Terrifier. First, Terrifier, lean as fuck. Came in less than 90 minutes, if I'm correct. I think that's like an 85 minute joint or so, right? And, you know, showed up, fucked shit up, and left. And so, Terrifier 2, 2 hours, 15 minutes. I don't know, man. I don't know. I hope I come back and eat my words. But I think this is going to be a piece of shit. I don't know. We'll check it out. I'll check it out. And I'm going to go watch it right now. And I'm going to be back in, well, shit, 2.5 hours, right? I'll let you know what I thought. All right, talk to you soon. Going in. Peace.